And the Indiana Fever have pulled off the upset, the 6th seed, beating Vegas 89-73 to take game one.
Everyone said the Indiana Fever had no chance. ESPN analysts wrote them off. Oddsmakers left, and even the two-time champs Las Vegas Aces expected a sweep. But then in front of the AC's home crowd on the very night A'ja Wilson was crowned MVP, the Fever shocked the world by stealing Game 1. How did a team missing 6 players flip the entire series script with one win? And what did Caitlin Clark say to her teammates post-game that's got people turning heads? Stick around because this wasn't just an upset, it was a statement. If you're fired up for the Fever, comment fired up and let us know how proud you are of the team. From the start, the series was framed as a mismatch. ESPN panels labeled it short and predictable. Sports books had odds so lopsided it was easier to bet on how many points Las Vegas would win by than whether Indiana could win at all. Even the language around the pregame showed it. Headlines talked about survival, not victory. The Aces were expected to roll on their way to another finals, and the subtext was clear. If Indiana wanted to avoid humiliation, that alone would count as success.
Particular matchup, Aces Fever Game 1. We're not deciding the whole series right now, just Game 1.
Should we do it together?
I think we should do it together because my spidey sense is telling me they might be the same. 3, 2, 1.
Aces.
They're not going to lose after she just won MVP.
Yeah, period.
There's no way.
No way.
Okay, I see
No
what
way.
Came the injury list. Caitlin Clark sidelined. Sophie Cunningham out. Sydney Carlson, Chloe Bai, Ari McDonald, Dyrus Dantas. 6 names gone. The Fever didn't look like a playoff squad. They looked like a team stuck together with tape. It wasn't just about being underdogs anymore. They were being called lucky to even be standing there as if their season had already expired.
Indiana Fever had no business winning a playoff series this year, had no business advancing to the semifinals for the first time in a decade, and yet here they are, eliminating the Atlanta Dream in Atlanta without Caitlin Clark, without Sophie Cunningham, without Sid Colson, without Erin McDonald, without Chloe Bibby. The hospital squad is on the bench, and yet the Indiana Fever are into the semifinals of the WNBA playoff.
Beacon of hope. And now they'll face the Aces. Picture the scene in Las Vegas before tip-off. Championship banners hung high. The crowd set for celebration. And then came the centerpiece. A'ja Wilson being honored with her MVP trophy at center court. The announcement wasn't just about recognizing her brilliance. It symbolized the story everyone expected. Vegas as the powerhouse, Indiana as the background act. The Fever's players weren't just overlooked. They were invisible in their own semifinal debut.
And then the coaching of Stephanie White. She is working with a 9-woman rotation, and 5 of those players did not even touch the court the last time the Fever played the Dream during the regular season, and 3 of those players weren't even on the team. I cannot say it enough. The Indiana Fever should not be here. They continue to be here. They battle. They're resilient. It's wildly impressive. Caitlin Clark wore the black Air Force Ones again. They had one of those forces lifted in the air like a beacon of hope, and now they'll face the Aces.
And yet, sports have a way of flipping the script when expectations are most rigid. Think back to underdog runs in history. Teams written off before a ball was tipped. Squads that weren't supposed to be on the same floor. You could feel the parallels brewing. This wasn't just the start of a playoff series. For Indiana, Game 1 stood as the chance to claim a seat at the table and announce they were here to fight. By the final buzzer, the entire narrative cracked. The spotlight on Wilson's MVP moment suddenly dimmed because the Fever had stolen it. They walked out of Las Vegas with an 89-73 win. Their first semifinal victory in almost 10 years, and the entire basketball world staring in disbelief. But the real shock came not just from the team as a whole. It came from one player who turned the night into her own personal stage. Yeah.
You actually just referenced it twice. It is Indiana. Dropped 2 of the 3 games to them this year, but you haven't seen them since late July. What excites you about that matchup?
That they haven't seen the real Aces yet. They caught us when we were at a bit in turmoil. Not only that, they whooped us one of those stretches. So, you know what? buckle in, hone in where we can, and take care of business.
That's big time. That's big time, right? While all eyes were locked on A'ja Wilson raising her MVP trophy, nobody expected Kelsey Mitchell to come in and completely flip the story. It was supposed to be Wilson's night, the defending champions taking care of business at home, the narrative already written before the ball even went up. But Mitchell refused to let Indiana be a footnote. She turned the semifinal opener into her own masterpiece. And by the time it was over, the conversation across the league had already shifted. First semifinal appearance. Just what's your emotional state right now? Normal, I think. It's practice, trying to prepare like anybody else would, like any other day. But keep the main thing the main thing. It's all you could do.
Respect everyone, fear no one. Woo! Sounds in the chat. Dub. That's one. That's big time. That's big.
Coming into this series, the talk was about whether Wilson could continue her dominance, if Jackie Young and Chelsea Gray could overwhelm the Fever, or if Indiana could even stay on the floor. Very few people were talking about Mitchell as the player who could redefine the matchup. Yet, just like she's done for much of her career, she answered in the best way possible by letting her game speak louder than the expectations around.
First semifinal appearance. Just what's your emotional state right now?
Normal, I think. It's practice. Trying to prepare like anybody else would, like any other day. But keep the main thing the main thing. That's all you can do.
Elle didn't just score. She scored every way you can imagine. She hit mid-range pull-ups when defenders fought through screens. She drilled deep threes when the Aces left her a split second late. She hit every free throw, finishing a perfect 6 for 6 at the line. From inside, outside, and everywhere in between, she looked untouchable. By the final box score, she had piled up 34 points on 12 for 23 shooting from the field, 4 for 6 from beyond the arc, and that flawless mark at the line. It wasn't only efficient, it was relentless.
Your younger self.
Yeah.
How would you explain to her to make sure that you give yourself grace and give you the flowers that you so willingly deserve?
Ooh, I think the best thing I could have done was, I had a list. I had a long list. I wrote down a list of all the times I could have quit, been a pro, playing with the Indiana Fever. I wrote down all the people that wrote me off. I wrote it down on a list. I wrote down all the coaches that didn't want me around. I wrote down all the media outlets that didn't want to talk to me. I think that within itself is like, you gotta tell your younger self not to give up on you. Because it's been a lot of times I could have given up when I know a lot of people that talk to me now weren't talking to me, and I know what it was like when they wasn't. So that part is big for me.
That 34-point explosion wasn't just a big game. It was historic. No Fever player had scored over 30 points in a playoff game since 2012. And no one in WNBA history had ever dropped that many in their very first semifinal appearance. Mitchell's performance now sits alongside legends like Lauren Jackson and Cynthia Cooper. Yet, it goes one step further because she broke their record. Think about it. In her postseason debut at this level against the champions under the spotlight of an MVP celebration, she carved out her name in the record books. He's done.
Time keeping the pivot foot alive and going strong side for Wilson.
Mitchell this time finds a lane to the basket. Inside to Turner. Nice look from Mitchell, which follows 5 Eastern time on ESPN. Mitchell. Lot of arc on that and a couple of bounces.
And even those watching from the sideline felt the weight of it. Caitlin Clark, sidelined by injury, had a simple but powerful reaction. Just 2 words sent out across social media. Kelsey, unreal. No elaborate speech, no overthinking, just respect from the sophomore phenom to the seasoned veteran who carried them when it mattered most. It showed how much Mitchell means to this team and how much her teammates recognize it.
He's done that. 5-point advantage for Indy. Trying to go inside. Terrific defense by Mitchell to deny Lloyd. It's Mitchell, guarded by Evans. Screen from Turner. Kelsey Mitchell knocks down another shot.
No one is accountable for Hall. Mitchell, come on.
Even AC's head coach Becky Hammond, never one to hand out compliments cheaply, admitted post-game that they had no answer for Mitchell. That acknowledgement only underscored how much she took over every possession that night. It wasn't luck. It wasn't a fluke. It was Mitchell at her best, proving she belongs in every conversation about the league's most dangerous guards.
Who's going to step up, and how can the Aces find an edge?
Another good cut to the basket, this time by Turner.
The Las Vegas Aces are running out of time because the Indiana Fever making passes with... That's right.
Boston, triple team, kicks it out. Kelsey, Mitchell.
Symbolism couldn't have been louder. On the same floor where Wilson was being crowned as the league's MVP, Mitchell was staking her own claim. It looked like she was saying, "We've got a most valuable player too." And she's wearing Fever red, blue, and yellow. A career night, yes. But more than that, her 34 points represented Indiana's defiance. Their refusal to accept a supporting role in the story. The Fever didn't just win because of Mitchell's outburst. They found their identity through it. And that identity didn't end with one score. The real heartbeat of this upset came from across the roster, with defense, hustle, and depth combining to frustrate the champions from every angle. Everyone expected Las Vegas to own the paint, to bully the Fever inside with size, strength, and an MVP presence. But instead, Indiana made defense and tempo their weapon, flipping the game in the one area almost nobody thought they could win. What unfolded wasn't just resistance. It looked like a blueprint for how to break down the defending champions.
But you could start on the defensive end. I mean, clearly we had no answer for Mitchell. Couldn't even attempt to slow her down a little bit. I thought it was really poor. Really poor.
The center of it all was Aaliyah Boston, and her assignment was one of the toughest you can imagine. Guard Asia Wilson. Wilson had just been named MVP. She thrives in the post. She stretches defenders. She attacks relentlessly. Most players shrink when given that matchup. Boston didn't. From the very first possession, she focused on being disruptive rather than simply trying to match Wilson shot for shot. Her approach was simple. Make Wilson uncomfortable. If she could push her off her sweet spots, contest every catch, and force her to reset, Indiana could tilt the battle.
Lexi Hall had that great steal to seal the win against Atlanta. Great start for Leah Boston.
Definitely the man slasher.
Boston and Wilson, two former South Carolina players. Asia can't find the bottom of the net.
5'11". Odyssey Sims and Kelsey Mitchell 5'8".
Boston up, under, and in.
Really having her battle.
Asia.
But the story was her rhythm. She had to grind for every bucket, settling into shots that lacked her usual flow, and often working late into the shot clock. That constant irritation slowed the A's offense, chipping away at the confidence of a team that usually thrives when Wilson dictates everything. Boston didn't erase the MVP, but she made her look human, and that alone is an achievement. Betsy Hall had that great steal to seal the win against Atlanta. A great start for Leah Boston.
Double juice efforts in us. So that's got to change this second half.
Coach, you're shooting under 40 from the field, about 7.
Get about it.
All right, thank you very much, Coach Hammond. And let's go over now to Angel Gray. For Asia. Spins, counters, doesn't get the bounce.
I am just so impressed.
Oh, Boston just faked Wilson out of her.
Beyond Boston, Indiana needed its wings to step up. Lexi Hall drew Jackie Young, one of the toughest covers in the league. She shadowed her on cuts, fought through screens, and refused to bite on fakes. Young never found the space she usually relies on, and by the end, her impact felt muted. Paul added even more by knocking down clutch threes when Indiana needed them, proving her effort wasn't only about stopping someone else, but also inspiring her own offense.
Lexi Hall had that great steal to seal the win against Atlanta. A great start for Leah Boston.
The Fever also had Odyssey Sims attacking with fire in every possession. She wasn't afraid to take the ball straight at Vegas defenders, splitting lanes and forcing the Aces into foul trouble. Her drives changed the tempo. Instead of Indiana playing slow and cautious, the pace sped up. Vegas, usually the team dictating tempo, suddenly looked the one scrambling to keep up. Sims had them reacting instead of controlling, and that shift fed into the Fever's defense getting set and locked in possession after possession. Good anticipation there by Brianna Turner. She's been on a couple WNBA all-defensive teams, and she's really been key for them on that end of the floor in these playoffs.
First 5 minutes. One shot. Rebound. Stay high, stay high, stay high. We're good, we're good, we're good. Good job, Kels.
Keep playing great defense. Yeah. Stay on the ground.
Yep. Switch, switch, switch.
Few minutes to go in the quarter. Hall left open for three, and she hits it. Much needed. Odyssey. Thought about it, but boy, her shooting's on point, so is
Natasha Howard was steady all night recording another double-double. She was active on the glass, boxing out to create second chances and protecting the lane on the other end. Uses her strength.
Good anticipation there by Brianna Turner. She's been on a couple WNBA all defensive teams, and she has really been key for them on that end of the floor in these playoffs.
Sims. Yet again.
That's a tough matchup.
Which follows 5 Eastern time on ESPN. Mitchell. Lot of arc on that and a couple in the regular season in Asia. In the entire league. And Sims, they gave her just that space and she took it.
Brianna Turner didn't fill the box score, but her presence was unmistakable. She altered shots with length, walled up drivers, and made the paint a place the Aces couldn't just own. By the numbers, Indiana outscored Las Vegas 50-38 in the paint, flipping what had been a supposed disadvantage into one of their greatest strengths.
Uses her strength, her athleticism. There were 3 or 4 Seattle players right there, but Jackie Young made the game winner.
Fade away from Natasha Howard. To the ball on the block. Now the shot clock is winding down. Young doing a good job keeping Kelsey Mitchell away from the basket, but the Fever